Boom, start us off.
Yeah, so my name is Dilara Wentz. I am located in the Northern Virginia, DC area, heavy on the military. My husband retired from the Marine Corps after 22 years, just 2 years ago. I've lived here in this area for about 8 years now. I've been licensed since 2018. But yeah, Quantico, the Pentagon, White House, Navy Yard, all the good bases around this area. That's where I service.
Now, so at this point, is there an opportunity for him to be transferred, shipped somewhere else, or no? Or you're settled?
No, he's done. So he
Okay.
retired in 2023 and is now living his best life, being a stay-at-home dad and supporting me in my journey in real
Okay.
estate. So yeah,
Well, and I know you got your start back, I think like 2018, right? So
yes.
how different are things today from when when you started it in 18?
Like market in general or business
Market, yeah,
wise.
market, and I really want to get to you and growth because
Yeah.
we've got a class that's also setting in on the
Oh,
call,
okay.
and so I want you to coach us at some point,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah, of course. So yeah, the market in 2018 was more resemblant of what's happening now. So I am not worried about what's happening at all. My first year was 2018. I failed my exam 3 times, passed on the fourth. So I'm not a good test taker, never have been, and it was heartbreaking and super happy all at the same time when it finally happened. But yeah, I mean, average days on market in our area was like 90 days, which for our area is quite long because we do have a lot of people, come in and go out because of military and government. But I still closed 31 houses my first year with not really knowing anybody in the area at that time because I'd only lived here about 7 months.
yeah, and see, I think that's what's important, and that's what I wanted. Seth Mills, you see his class here. I wanted them to hear that when I got in the business, way back in like 1989, we were going through the S&L crisis and oil shortage, and there was so many challenges with the market. And we dealt in foreclosures. And that was the market that I entered. So I didn't know all the good and all the juicy that had come before me. I didn't know that. All I knew was you had to get in, you had to hustle, and you had to connect, right? You had to find your lane and go for it. And so I
Yeah.
do believe that from a new agent standpoint, this is the perfect time. It's just like planting the damn tree, right? The best time
Hmm.
was 20 years ago and today. The best time to get
Hmm.
into real estate, I believe, is when I got in back in the day because I earned my stripes, and it's today, right?
Right.
You can learn a lot. So, thanks for inspiring there because 31 deals, you and I both know the average agent in America today, they don't do 31 deals, and you did that your very first year.
Yes, sir. Yeah, a lot of hustle. I was so far in debt. I mean, that was the goal is to get out of debt. The way that I got in the business was from a bad home purchase and my real estate agent not caring. And I thought like if I could just do a little bit better, obviously, for other people, I would probably be pretty successful because she did okay, with the amount of business she was doing. So I looked at my closing disclosure and was like, damn, that would pay off one of my credit cards, right? Like, so I definitely was motivated to hit the ground running as soon as I got into it. My husband and I were on the same page as far as like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. And I gave myself 60 days to sell a house, and I ended up getting my first client 2 weeks after my license came in. So yeah,
Well, I think knowing you like I do, when you were younger, you know, you you were motivated, period. I think it didn't matter if it was real estate or you working out, right? Because I've seen,
yeah,
right? You were just
yeah,
you were focused, and I think you're one of those that you love it when people doubt you because
yeah,
that motivates you to prove them wrong. And
yep,
so, class, be sure and hear that because you do have some people that are looking at you like, oh my God, they'll never do anything. They'll never make it. Use that as rocket fuel and let it propel you forward. So, I love my haters, right?
yeah,
Continue to hate because that's what you do, and I
yeah.
appreciate. Right. I'm not mad because that's your role. That's your responsibility is on me. And my
Yeah.
job is to make sure that I use that as fuel and prove you wrong each and every day. So
Hmm.
fantastic. All right. So there's a number of things we can get into. And there was I want to know because again, I'd love to, I want to be coached by you for just a minute. And I
Hmm.
have a note here. So I want to know right now. What are you and your team, and describe your team. What does that look like currently?
Yeah, so it's myself, and then I have a buyer's agent who is my like overflow agent as well as open house leads and everything like that. That's her job. I've got an executive assistant. I actually hired an executive assistant my first year just because of what my pipeline was stacked like and what I was closing, and I needed leverage. So she's my second. My first ended up having a lot of babies and moved out of the area. So she ended up going on to being a full-time mom. But my new assistant is great. Slow to hire, quick to fire is always my motto. And then I have a transaction coordinator who's an in-house TC who's been with me for 5 years. And then I have a virtual assistant. And then we just brought on a showing partner. So, and we are on track to do 100 deals this year.
Okay. And was that your goal? What was your goal this year?
Well, my goal has always been 100, but with building comes a lot of grace, right? Because you can't
Yes.
always just be on the upward trajectory. There's a little bit of bumps in the road. So I've been hitting my head against the ceiling of like 60 for the last 3 years. This year, I got really intentional with listings and with my coach about setting numbers. And the goal is to GCI a million,
Yes.
which we're about 20 transactions off from that currently. So
You're going to hit that.
excited. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're
Well,
excited.
I think that's the reason why, we may see you in a broader scale. I hope.
Yeah,
It's crazy. Is it even 3 weeks away? It's fastly approaching. So, holy,
yeah.
moly, it is what it is. I can't.
I'm
You can't.
excited.
I'm excited too.
I
Uh,
always get like 2 or 3 referrals out of every main event that I go to, and I love meeting people, so I'm
Absolutely.
I'm ready.
Well,
I'm
and
ready
I
for it.
I use it like you because last year 20%, yeah, one of every 5 units I did was referred by friends that I've met at Mega Camp and the masterminds and family reunion. And so, like you, I'm very purposeful on relationships. So, uh,
Yeah.
and I
Well, it's
yeah,
easy to like you, Ben, so I'm just saying.
well, I
You're a good
appreciate
person.
that. I appreciate that. But I think that you know what the point is, be purposeful about it in connections and communities because you never know when all of a sudden we've got a lead for Virginia or the DC area. And we're like, who in the world do I know? Oh my goodness, I know a top professional, and here it goes. And that's just how things happen so quickly. So um, I want to know what right now, what's I'd say what's the number one or number two thing that you and the team are doing and or focus on that's really propelling you toward the goal? Like I said, use
Yeah.
coach, right? Especially if you're talking to a newer agent, right?
Yeah.
Motivate me, inspire me. What are you doing?
So, what I always suggest people do is to follow the Buffini method, which is notes, calls, and Popeyes. I took Buffini's, I can't remember which class it was, but my very first year, because I didn't know anybody. So I was wondering how, once I get one client, how can I get more? And Buffini was a big thing, right? So notes, calls, Popeyes, monthly newsletters, all the good stuff. So we have that automated. Every time I talk to somebody, I write a letter, a note in the mail, and just say, "Hey, it was so great speaking with you. Let me know if you need anything." And people always know that I'm there for them. Calling just to make those hey calls. Like some people are so uncomfortable calling their database, which I get, but at the same time, like those are your people. Those are your walking, talking billboards, is what we call them. Like those are the people who are going to advocate for you. And maybe some people won't because let's face it, we're all human and some people are very selfish and just will never think of you when somebody brings up real estate. But more than likely, like 5 out of 10 people you have in your phone are going to mention you if somebody mentions something about a home or real estate in general. So SOI is a big thing that we've also gone back and deep dived into just these last couple of months to pivot with the market because while listings are sitting a little longer and we want to be listing heavy still, it's buyer's time, right? So that's where we want to live and breathe at the moment is with our purchasers because there's more opportunity for them, especially like the wild statistic of the average homeowner last year was 56 years old. Like, where are you at,
Love
millennials?
that.
What are we
Yeah,
doing?
I know.
Right? Like,
Love that. That's crazy. And I think there's so many conflicting reports because here in Dallas, we've quoted 38 years to 39 years old for their first home because our affordability has just gone out the window. We used to be extremely affordable, and now, really, because of COVID, everything has just shot up. And so, yeah,
yeah,
it takes longer sometimes to be able to afford, an average home here for us
yeah.
first timer is anywhere from like 350 to 425. And
Mhm.
I was fortunate when I bought I don't know, 38, 39 years ago. I was able to get a 1,500 square foot home for $77,000. I'm like,
Right. Yeah.
I would buy the entire
Wild.
block now if I could. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's crazy to me, like, so educating with the hate calls, right? Like, I don't know if you remember, but when we were in Gary's room, I had asked him, like, what's the mofer around, this generational wealth that's like exchanging hands and stuff? And he was like, save your kids,
Mhm.
like, buy the house for your kids so they can afford something later on. And I was like, okay, so the hate calls we're making is like, how do you set up your family for generational wealth? Like, a lot of our first time home buyers also like educating them on the step up home. Like, hey, we're not going out and finding you your forever home because it's not going to be your forever home. Average ownership in our area is like a max of 11 years on average. And so it's like, for sure, this is not going to be your forever home. I mean, it's a 99.9% chance essentially.
Right.
Most people move here just for the jobs and then they retire. They usually move out of the area. So, like, what are we doing to help you make a sound investment to go up to the next house later? Like, take that money and run with it essentially. So, lots of hate calls to our database currently. Like, hey, who do you know that we can help and have a conversation with? Have you talked to anybody recently who's had questions about buying? Because a lot of our first time home buyers will say, like, oh, my friends don't know where to start, essentially. I mean, we can help them with that, right? Like, I think a lot of people believe that the home buying process is a lot more difficult than it is, but if they work with the right person, it should not be as hard as you would think it would be. So, SOI is a big thing, like connecting with your sphere, having coffees. I take people out to coffee all the time. I have two happy hours this week with two past clients that I've checked in with, right? Like, one's going through a little bit of a hard time, her husband's gone. The other one just needs, some love and care and stuff. And normally those are our biggest referrers anyways. And then just being really purposeful about constantly being your SOI's red Jeep, and that's your reticular activator, right? So when anybody is ever saying like something about real estate, you want them to think of you. So sending the small little Popeyes in the mail of just like, hey, your referrals are the bee's knees, and like sending a little chapstick, Burt's Bees, whatever. Like, we're super about the cheesy quotes and the little things in the mail that we send out to the database because they're going to remember us, right? Like, and then a newsletter. I always say we don't spend much time on them. They come from Etsy. They're plug and play newsletter. We are physically sending them out in the mail because we have tried the electronic version of just sending them via email and noticed that we had a lot of fall off. So just a newsletter update of like, hey, what's happening in our area? What are we seeing? Don't forget us because 9 times out of 10, they're going to see the envelope. It's a colored envelope with our green color back here on it. And they're just going to throw it in the mail, but they knew we sent something because they know it's our envelope. So we don't spend a lot of time on step and repeat stuff. It's just plug and play. So SOI for sure. And then really heavy on our listing program that we have right now with farming and stuff to hit more
I was just about
houses.
to ask, do you farm? And if so, how many households do you hit? Because we've scaled it down. I was doing like 5 to almost 6,000. Now we've scaled that back.
Yeah.
We do 3,000. Um, what do you
Yeah.
hit?
So I started farming in 2022 and I partnered with a lender, RESPA compliant and Virginia compliant marketing. Um, we do 1,800 houses. It's my neighborhood. I my first year starting my farming program that I will be speaking on. Um, I sold 11 houses. My second year, 22 in my neighborhood, and this year we're on track for 25. I had 3 listing appointments this week in my neighborhood, so um, definitely a smart way of getting listings for not a lot of dollar. But yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I think that was something that I didn't start farming until I'd already been in the business. I'd already been in the business more than 15 years before I started farming. And the only reason why I did is because there was Carol Beasley is her name. I'll never forget it because she was my arch nemesis, right? Didn't even live in my neighborhood. And one year, I simply tracked the sales from my neighborhood, and she made over $300,000 just from my neighborhood, and she didn't even live there. And I was like, "That's bull." And all I wanted that very first year was to take one deal off of her plate.
Hmm.
The interesting thing is, within a year and a half, I had knocked her out of the neighborhood, and she had stopped spending her marketing dollars in Preston Highlands, and she moved to the next neighborhood over. And I
Hmm.
thought, what an achievement. Now I
Yeah,
believe she's either retired or moved out because she hadn't sold a home. She's only sold one home in my neighborhood in the last 5 years.
there you go. Yeah,
So again, especially newer agents, don't miss it because
yeah,
I would start early in this process because again, I'm sure you know your numbers, and for me, my numbers in my neighborhood, I typically get and last year was low, but I got a 5 times return on my investment. I have had as high as 10 times, and so but that was shortly after COVID, and so for me, the COVID numbers really don't count because I spent 24,000 doing the printing and the marketing and the mailing of that of my pieces, my farm pieces, but that
hmm,
made over 280,000 from a basically a $24,000 investment. So
yeah.
still,
Yeah, we did out of like 17 pieces of business this year so far, I've gotten, well, 17 listings so far, I've gotten about 27 pieces of business, whether it be the seller also buying at the same time, or we got a sign call and did both sides of the deal or something of the sort, or somebody saw our sign and then, it led to a listing outside the neighborhood, those kind of things. So so far this year, because I have partners, Gary Keller always says, a lot of agents have passengers, but you need to find partners in this business, people who want to partner with you because, together we succeed, right? You help me, I help you kind of thing. And so far I've spent 13 grand on printing and stuff. The other stuff is just general marketing and everything like that. And I have made over $400,000 in GCI. So I think it might be worth it,
it's
right?
worth it.
But there's a lot of follow-up. You got to make sure you're following up constantly and don't drop the ball, be consistent. Like if you need an accountability partner, find an accountability partner. If you need to hire a VA, so that way things are just, set in stone and they just keep going out and you don't have to think about it. Our postcards are off of Etsy too. I mean, again, it's the whole like look at it, throw it away, look at it, throw it away aspect, right? Like I don't want to spend copious amounts of dollars and time on something that somebody's literally just going to check it out and throw it away. But when they see our green color, they know it's from us. So I constantly get calls off of our postcards and stuff. So it's definitely been one of the better things I've implemented in my business, especially because we saw my military side, they were talking about trying to homestead people more. So military wasn't going to move as often. And so that was what kind of like brought me to the idea of I need to figure out something else to implement in my business. So I make sure that we keep moving forward and, create a larger business that way. And so far, farming's been the go-to. So it's been very exciting. And it's in my neighborhood. So like I get up, run over in my PJs, throw in all the lights in a listing and go back home and drink my coffee. Like what better way to make money than that? And everybody knows that nobody's going to be able to sell the house better than me. Like last year I ended with 40% market share in my neighborhood. Like nobody's beating me out at this point.
Sweet. I love that. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so answer me this.
Mhm.
What's what's one thing that you've done wrong or you're doing wrong that you know what we're going to need to pivot and shift on this because it hadn't worked or it didn't work back in the day.
Uh, I mean, the only thing that I've royally screwed up so far in my business is hiring the wrong people out of pain.
Okay.
Uh, so for newer agents, taking a lot of classes, like if you start on that upward trajectory where you need to hire somebody, I should have hired a transaction coordinator before an assistant. That's what I really needed. Luckily, my assistant ended up working out very well. She was with me for 4 years. But in order like for dollar, right, dollar activity type stuff, I would have rather hired a TC and then gone virtual assistant prior to now that I know what I know, you know. So um as a newer agent, I wish I would have systematized better from the get-go. Going back and organizing your database is rough. It is, yeah. I was like, Scott, it's exhausting. Like, I remember my assistant's like, who are these people? I'm like, dude, now we got to sit down and go through every contact, which is highly obnoxious. Um, and then finding, a CRM that really worked for me ahead of time as well. Like I have a super terrible ADHD brain. Like you got to lay it out elementary style, otherwise you've lost me. Like I always say, I'm not book smart, graduated high school, 1.95 GPA. Don't ask me how it happened. But I am very street smart. So if you're trying to be technical with me, it may not resonate, but if we're talking like on the streets, let's go, I'm like, I'm there. So the CRM that worked for me ahead of time would have been great, and making sure that all the information was in there prior to like really hitting the ground would have been awesome because playing catch up is never fun. But and also believing I could do it. I think I mean Ben knows me from this point. Like I still self-doubt all the time. Like I will say I'm going to be on stage at San Antonio, which is a huge accomplishment. I always said my very first family reunion that I would one day be on stage, and now it's happening. And I still feel so small in such a big world of real estate. I'm selling a lot of houses, and I know that, but up here, I always self-doubt. Because there's always somebody doing it better than you, right? Doing it bigger than you, maybe not better, but doing it bigger than you. And comparison is the one thing in this industry that you sometimes have to just put it aside and be like, hey, I'm doing what I'm doing and I'm gonna be successful at it. And I just ignore the noise. So, but every once in a while that imposter syndrome catches up to you. And I probably would have done more deals by now if I didn't have as much self-doubt. So therapy is big, and getting a coach sooner would have been better.
Well, I didn't get a
Yeah.
coach until 10 years ago. And the crazy thing is, we hear different numbers and I think Gary, I've heard him say sometimes, when you're really getting busy, you need an assistant or a transaction coordinator. I didn't um I didn't even get an assistant until I'd already been in the business 30 years before I hired my first assistant, which is crazy. But again, I was making things happen. I wasn't doing 60 plus like you. I was doing 35 to 42 typically. And when I started doing over 40 units, I was like, I need some help. And
Yeah.
Christina was with me for 4.5 years. And you see Destiny Hughes, she's my new success manager. Hopefully she'll surpass Christina. And now that I have someone walking alongside me, I'll never not from this
Yeah.
point. So,
Yeah. And I
well,
think for newer agents, I just want to mention, as a new agent, I found an amazing mentor. And that is huge. I mean, it was a paid mentor through productivity coaching and everything. I paid 50% of my compensation for 10 deals, just to be able to know what I was doing. And how I knew it was working was my very first deal I closed. The settlement attorney looked at me and said, "Congrats on your first closing." And my clients had no idea. So finding that mentor to help you with accountability, lead generation, and not only that, but doing your deals is highly important to be successful, in my opinion. Real estate is not the industry to just be winging it because there's a lot of legality around it, as well as structure that you need and to learn from somebody else. So I always hear people who are like, paying your brokerage or paying your mentor is not worth it. Like, I don't want to give away my money. But if you have the right people, the right brokerage, the right environment, it'll come back tenfold. And I truly, truly believe that. So it was completely worth it. And my mentor is still like my best friend today. So
It's funny. I've
yeah.
got my coaching call is on Mondays at 2 o'clock, and I love him and I hate him, both the
Yeah.
same. And he laughs about that, but I'm like, you know what? You're a good coach because sometimes I don't like you, and other
Yeah.
times I love you, and I'm so glad that that he says that he's relentlessly devoted toward my success, and I
Yeah.
love that. And that's the reason why we've been together now with this coach for 6 years. So and I don't consider it a crazy expense at all, right? That's just
Right.
part. I mean, it's part of my business practice. So
They're a partner in your business. You're paying them as a partner in your business. Your coach shouldn't be your best friend either, right? Like my
yes,
coach now, she ain't my best friend.
yeah, no, not at
So
all, not at
yeah.
all. And I'll see him in San Antonio. Matter of fact, I think last week he hadn't even booked his hotel, and I'm like, boom, get at the Grand Hyatt because that's where I'm at, right? So
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll see you. So a couple of things before we go, because time moves so quickly.
Yeah.
What CRM are you using?
Say it again.
What CRM are you using for your business?
We are using Follow Up Boss.
Follow up boss. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. All
Yep.
right.
And
No.
got a different number through there, and it notes and transcribes for you and everything, which is fantastic, especially for an ADHD brain like mine, where I can't even remember the conversation I had 20 minutes ago. Um, so yeah, the transcribe, taking notes and everything is huge.
Okay. Well, so for that ADHD brain, what books now are you reading that we might be able to benefit from? Because I know you're an avid reader.
I am. So I am reading I think it's called The Five Kinds of Wealth. And then I'm reading Reboot because I hit a wall of burnout about a week ago. Again, to new agents, you're not alone when it comes to burnout, especially like us big producers will hit burnout real fast and we think we're indestructible and we're not.
Right.
So yeah, I'm reading Reboot because it's all about how to reset essentially.
Okay. Now you're, I think you're learning Spanish also, right?
I, I am. Yep, Duolingo. I'm on a 70-day streak.
There you
Got it.
go. Now, is that just for you personally, or do you think that it's going to help you in your business there?
It's actually like a whole brain health thing that I read. The more languages you learn, the more synapses in your brain it creates. I have MS, and my brain is constantly being attacked by immune system. And the worst thing that could ever happen to me is dementia or Alzheimer's. So I'm doing everything that I could do to create new track waves in my brain. So I am learning Spanish. I'm also trying to get fluent again in Turkish because I am Turkish. I'm learning Taekwondo with my son. I test for my black belt next month. um,
Running a
so
marathon
I'm,
next year?
I'm running a marathon in January. I'm running another Spartan race in October. Like I'm just doing all the things to create health for myself. So
I love that.
yeah.
And again, I appreciate your vulnerability there and sharing with us. Again, like I said, this is all family and
Yeah.
and you're near and dear to me. So I appreciate you taking 30 minutes for us today. Because
Yeah.
again, I think we've learned a lot. And what I really wanted today, and again, you've surpassed it. I wanted newer agents and even veteran agents like myself. There's always a nugget there. I think your personal health is important, not quitting. You took the test 3 or 4 times. I took it 3 times, I believe. It was 3 or 4 before I finally, right? And have been successful at it. You just don't quit. You just keep going, right? And I think that, and I'd love for folks to know, just set and also set very realistic goals. Because if you set a realistic goal, then I think you're already halfway there. And make sure that you're surrounded by supporters. And here, I'm so fortunate. My next door neighbor, Steve, is typically on the call. Pop is here. Steve is on the call. Russ and Bob are next to me. We've got so many eagles on my floor that all soar high, and we just support each other and love on each other, and that's critical to your success. And I jokingly tell people that your success is in direct proportion to what do I say? God dang it, the proximity to greatness that you're standing next
Yeah.
to. And so
Yep.
again, just community is important, supporters are important. So uh, as we leave, is there anything else that you'd like to drop on us before I see you in a few weeks?
For new agents, just hit the ground running. If you think something's impossible to do for lead gen, reach out to the people who are doing it and see how you can modify it to make it achievable for you. Um, for myself, I always say come from contribution. We're not in the world of sales, we're actually in the world of helping people. So, if you give back, it usually comes back tenfold. And be your authentic self. I usually cuss like a sailor. I've got tattoos. I wear Converse to listing appointments. Like I ain't wearing any red bottom soles or anything like that. So, everybody loves people who are authentic. I've been told that in listing appointments, like they want to hire me because I don't seem like ingenuine and all that. So be your authentic self, come from contribution, and kick ass.
Kick ass. I love it. Well, you're doing it, and you know what? I think we all are because we're here. And so we shouldn't be complaining. But again, our heads should be down and focused because this is the type of market that right now you don't take your foot off the gas. And I don't sleep. Matter of fact, last night I was up at 2:30 last night. So it is what it is. But I'm going to sleep come December 31st is my target. I'll sleep
There you
then.
go.
Right now, it's
I
work.
always say take it as a challenge, right? When people are saying the market is down, how can you be up? We're up 24% this year. So like y'all can, just stay in your lane. Don't listen to the negative. If people are being negative around you, get rid of them. I mean, it's hard sometimes, but I've let friends go because just the negativity just weighs on you.
Yeah.
So just stay in your lane.